there, welcome to the third lesson of drawing using a sketch. So on this lesson, let's check what we are given. They say that we are given the cos of theta to be equal to minus 15 over 17, and it is also given that theta must be an element of 0 and 180. When this thing they just tell you that your theta must be between 0 and 180, I'm going to explain how this works, okay? So in order for us to draw a diagram, what I'm going to do first, I need to analyze the given information. That cos theta is equals to negative 15 over 17. We need to first start by analyzing that information. So to analyze that, what we're going to do is that, remember, according to SOHCAHTOA, what is cos equals to? It's adjacent over hypotenuse. So what I'm trying to say is that this is x. Okay, let's not say equals to, but we're going to write the ratio as x over r. So this will be my adjacent, which is 15, and this will be my hypotenuse, which will be r. So I have r, I have x. So what I'm going to do, when they say that theta must be an element of 0 and 180, we need to choose which quadrant we're going to work on, okay? So now I'm going to draw my Cartesian plane here. Let's put the Cartesian plane like this. This is my Cartesian plane. So now remember, this is your 0, this is your 360, then we have this as 90, we have 180 there, and 270. So where is cos negative? So this tells you that what I need you to understand on this is that cos is negative. We're going to take the quadrant where cos is negative, that quadrant, and that quadrant. But now we're done choosing the quadrant where cos is negative. We need to indicate where. We need to indicate our angle should be between 0 and 180. So you can see that it should be between that and that. So it can never be greater than 80. So you can see which quadrant are we going to work on. We're going to work on quadrant 2. That's how you choose a quadrant. So I don't want to waste time. I'm just gonna we'll draw the quadrant on the next one. Maybe we can just put our quadrant here. Let's put our quadrant on the diagram, then we can use this Cartesian plane, because now we understand where will the diagram lie in quadrant 2. So if we draw the quadrant, this is how the triangle will look like. This is my triangle, therefore this is my theta, and I'm just gonna name the other sides that I have. So when I name the sides, I'm going to say my adjacent. Look at this, the negative. Remember, r can never be negative because it's the hypotenuse. So this tells you that the negative is for the 15, the number on top. So this will be my x, which is minus 15. X is minus 15, and I'm going to have this as theta, and my r is 17, and what is your y? Dololo. We don't know what is the value of y. We need to first find y. How can we find the missing side? We use theorem of Pythagoras that says r squared is equals to x squared plus y squared. So x squared is equals to r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Do we have r? Yes, that's 17. We just substitute 17 squared. Then let's equate this to x, which is minus 15 squared plus y squared. So when you work on this, we just have to use a calculator to find those numbers. Then just to save time, I think everyone understand what they need to do here now. I think everyone understands. So we're going to say this will be 17 squared minus into minus 15 squared is equals to y squared. This will give us 64 to be equals to y squared. So what you can do next is to square both sides to find y. Square, square. Remember, the value of y will be plus or minus 8. Right. So if it's plus or minus 8, we need to choose. Look at y. This is in quadrant 2. How are your y values? Your y values are positive. Therefore, we're going to conclude and say y is equals to positive 8. So now that we have everything, we can start by redrawing our diagram and answer the following questions. Let's first put our diagram on the board. So this is the diagram. The diagram is in quadrant 2. Right. So now on the diagram we have this as theta. We said this will be minus 15, which is x, and we have y that we calculated as 8, and r is equal to 17. Now we can try and attempt the following question. Question number 1, the sine of theta. What will be the sine of theta? We're going to refer from the diagram. We're going to look for the sine of theta, and we need to find what is sine of theta. Remember, this is the first question. So this one should be easy, because if we use the soccer tool, why are we saying this should be easy? Why are we saying this should be easy? Because if we use the soccer tool, we know that sine theta is equals to opposite, which is 8, over hypotenuse, which is 17. Then we need to go to number B. We need to answer number B. Look at number B. They want the sine of 90 minus theta. We need to find the sine of 90 minus theta. How do we find sine 90 minus theta? So this will be the sine inside the bracket 90 minus theta. So because of that guy here, because I see this is where I get to so this is where I get too much excited when I see the trick. Whatever that they are trying to trick me, when I see that trick, I get like excited, because now I see that this is the sine of 90. 90 is a cofunction. So since it's a cofunction, sine changes to cos. Cos changes to sine. But look at what we are given here. Look at what we are given here. We are given 90 minus theta. 90 minus theta. So since it's 90 minus theta, this is the cofunction. Sine changes to cos. Where is 90 minus theta? So if you put a diagram like this, and this is your 90, we are subtracting. So if we are subtracting, we're going to get a number that is less than 90. So this will bring us in quadrant 1. How is 90 in quadrant 1? How is sine in quadrant 1? Sine is positive. This will change into positive, the cos of theta. And I don't think we need to give ourselves too much stress on cos theta, because remember it was given on the question that the cos of theta is minus 15 over 17. So I'm just going to substitute that. Just going to put this and say this is equals to negative 15 divided by 17. That should be our final answer. That was easy. Right. That was easy. Now let's move to the next question. The next question wants you to find the sine of 2 theta. Let's write it down. This is B. We need to find the sine of 2 theta. This is a double angle for sine, and everyone in this lesson knows that. If you are watching, please make sure that you pause and work on this question. Let's see if you can get the same answer. Remember, this is a double angle for what? This is a double angle sine. And remember, we can write this as 2 the sine of theta, the cos of theta. This is an identity. You can get this on your formula sheet. So we have 2. We need to find the sine of theta. Don't stress, because already you know what is already we know what is the sine of theta, because it's 8 over 17. You still remember from the first question, that will be 8 over 17 times the cos of theta. We already know what is the cos of theta. So the cos theta, we calculated the cos theta as minus 15 over 17. So this will be multiplied by minus 15 over 17. Everything is good so far. No stories, just marks. So now, therefore, what is the sine of 2 theta equals to? This, you just have to punch that on the calculator. This will give us negative 240, everything divided by 289. Then you are done solving number B. Let's look at what we have on question D. D, they want you to find the cos of 2 theta. We need to find the cos 2 theta. So the cos 2 theta, what is cos 2 theta equals to? So I'm just gonna say, let's write it down there, the cos of 2 theta. So we're going to work on it this side and say, oh, that was C. This is number C, and this should be D. We are looking for the cos of 2 theta. So now, when you check the cos theta, if we go back up, remember we talked about the cos of 2 theta. Remember we said that the cos 2 theta, we can use one of these identities. So I'm not going to use the first one. I can use the second one, but I'm going to choose what? I'm going to choose number 3. We can use this one. It's fine. The first one will make everything to be more complicated. So the one that I suggest we use is this one. I'm going to explain why I'm going to choose the 2 cos squared theta minus 1. So now I know that I have the cos theta as minus 15 over 17. Why am I not choosing this one? Just in case if I made a mistake. Why am I not choosing the second one? Why are we not using the second identity? Because look at sine. We need to do for sine, and we need to use the sign that we got on A. Just in case maybe I made a mistake, because remember you are in an exam, and when you are in an exam you can make mistakes anytime. You see, just in case that I made a mistake when solving A, to avoid that, let me use what I was given, which is cos theta. So I'm going to choose the ratio of whatever that I was given, the trig ratio of whatever that I was given, which is cos. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to write it as 2 the cos squared theta minus 1. So we need to work on that. We need to find what is 2 the cos theta minus 1. So this is just equals to 2. Inside the bracket, you substitute the cos theta, the one that was given, which is minus 15 over 17. Then we need to minus 1 if you put this on the bracket, on the calculator, sorry. So you just have to put it on the calculator, and you should get your final answer as 161, everything divided by 289. This is how easy the question is. So now that I know this one, we're going to work on this one, where we're going to have to, let's look at this question. Look at what we have here now. Look at this question, this one. They want us to find the cos theta over 2. I'm just gonna go down and rewrite that one, but before I do anything, I think it's best if we put our diagram here. So if we put our diagram, remember our diagram is in quadrant 2. let's redraw the diagram, then we're going to refer from that diagram. So if this is my diagram, I know that I'm going to have that as theta. So let's name all the given information from that diagram, what we were given. Let's quickly go through this and check. So remember, we had the value of y, the one that we calculated as 8. Then we had x, the one that was given as minus 15, and r, the one that was given as 17. So this is my r, which is 17. I'm just gonna put the SOHCAHTOA down here. Right. So now let's look at the question. The question wants us to find the cos of theta over 2. And we need to refer from this diagram. We need to refer from the diagram. We need the cos of theta over 2. What is the next thing that you're going to do? You know what I need you to think of this question in this way. I know that if I have a theta and I have a 2 somewhere there, what I can do is that, remember, we have something that we can use, the double angle for cos. I'm going to explain this. Let's call this the cos 2 alpha. I'm going to use a different angle. I'm not going to use theta. I'm going to use a different angle there. So what we can do is that we can say the cos of 2 alpha is equals to the double angle that I'm going to choose. I think it will be easy if I choose, remember we have 3 identities that we can choose from. From these 3 identities, I need to choose the one that I can use, and I prefer to use this one. Because remember, the cos of theta was already given. I'm going to choose the identity where, when I consider which one to use, I'm going to choose the one that the trig ratio was given on the question. You see, the cos of theta. Because I don't want to choose the one that has sign, just in case I made a mistake on the first question. Right. So now I'm going to put down my identity down. This is the cos of 2 cos squared alpha minus 1. Right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let, and now let's bring this. So this is where everything starts to get interesting. I know that I need the angle of theta over 2. How can I find that? I'm going to let my alpha to be that theta over 2, the given theta over 2. You let your alpha to be that theta over 2. So now let's substitute from this equation. Where there's alpha, let us put theta over 2. So this will be the cos of 2 inside the bracket theta over 2. Close the bracket. It's equals to 2 the cos squared inside the bracket theta over 2. Then close this and say this is minus 1. So remember, if I have 2 times theta over 2, the 2 will cancel. What am I left with? We have the cos of theta. This is equals to. So I'm just going to leave that as, 2 the cos squared what? The cos squared theta over 2. This is minus 1. So what I need you to do next, I need you to analyze the given question. So you have to analyze what you are given. Look at this. We need to calculate the cos of theta over 2. Now you can start celebrating because you have the cos of theta over 2 on your equation. You just have to solve that equation. So now how can we solve this? Remember, we know what is cos theta equals to. We know what is cos theta equals to. The cos of theta was given from the question. The cos of theta was given as what? it was given as minus 15 over 17. So what I'm going to do is that where there's cos theta, I'm going to substitute this as, we're going to substitute that as minus 17 over 15. Let us quickly do that. Let's substitute. So this will be minus 15 over 17. It's equals to 2 the cos squared inside the bracket theta over 2 minus 1. So from this, what can we do next? We need to isolate the cos theta over 2. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to solve this. If I have this, I can bring the 1 to the other side. I can isolate this by taking this 1. Let's bring it to the other side to be positive 1. So what I'm trying to say is that take the 1 to the left hand side and write this as minus 15 over 17. We bring the 1 this side, and that other side we still have the 2, the cos squared of what? Theta over 2. But now to save time, I need you guys to allow me to divide both sides by the 2, because remember, we are trying to find cos theta over 2. So we need to eliminate everything until we get what we need. Ne? So we're going to divide everything here by 2. We're going to divide everything here by 2. So what we're going to do, we know that the top part, if you add the top part, that should give you 2 over 17, right? 2 over 17. Therefore, we need to take the 2 over 17, we divide it by 2. What is this equals to? The cos squared of what? Theta over 2. Now we are about to complete our mission. So we know that to complete our mission, if we solve the top part, let us work on the top part. We know that this guy here will give us 1 over 17. What is that coming from? If I have 2 over 17, I can change the division into multiplication and find, remember this 2 is over 1. I can find the reciprocal of that, which is 1 over 2. You can see that the 2 cancels, we are left with 1 over 17. So now everyone understand where is the 1 over 17 coming from. Let's equate this to the cos squared of theta over 2. So now, square both sides to remove. Remember, if I have this thing, I just want to explain how the cos squared theta works now. So if I have the cos squared of theta over 2, just know that this is the same as writing it as what? It's the same as writing it as the cos inside the bracket theta over 2 and everything squared. This is the same. You can just write it like that. You can just write it like that. So what I'm trying to say is that you can square both sides to remove the square root. You can square both sides. So when you square both sides, what will happen is that the 2, you see, this square root here will cancel that 2. Therefore, this will be plus or minus the cos of theta over 2 is equals to plus or minus the root of 1 over 17. We need to do what? We need to decide on the answer. So now what I need you to do, this is very important. This is very important for you to do this. Remember, now we need to say, if we go back to the diagram, let's look at the diagram. Looking at the diagram, they said that this is in quadrant 2. This is in quadrant 2. So since this is in quadrant 2, we need to divide. Why is, we need to choose, is this positive or negative? I know this is where someone is going to make mistake and say that because this is in quadrant 2, cos is negative. Therefore, the answer should be negative root 1 over 17. That's wrong. So now what I'm going to conclude, I'll say that to conclude the answer here, therefore the cos of theta over 2 is equal to positive the root of 1 over 17. Let me explain. So we are saying that the final answer, the cos of theta over 2 is equals to positive the root of 1 over 17. So let me explain. Remember, this is positive. Why? Because theta over 2 must be an element of what? Theta over 2 must be an element of what? Let's go back. We were given a boundary. I just want you to be smart when you do this. Now, look at the boundary. Look at the given boundary. Theta must be an element of 0 and 180. So if theta must be an element, let's go and write this boundary down. I'm sorry for going up and down, but remember we were given the boundary as theta must be an element of what? 0 and 180 degrees. You need to divide. Remember, this is over 2. Over 2. Over 2. Therefore, what is theta over 2 equals to? Theta over 2 must be an element of 0 divided by 2 is just 0. 180 divided by 2 is 90 degrees. So can you see that your theta must be between what? Your theta must be between 90 degrees and 0 degrees, which is quadrant 1. How is cos in quadrant 1? Positive. So this is how we got the positive answer. I hope this makes sense now. This is how we got that positive answer. We just have to take the given boundary, divide everything by 2 so that we can get theta over 2. So theta over 2 must be an element of what? 0 and 90. So since it's an element of 0 and 90, what is this telling you? This tells you that we're going to work with quadrant 1. How is cos in quadrant 1? Cos is positive. So that's how you find the answer. What I need you to do now, I need you to pause the video and make sure that you try to answer the last question. Find the sine of theta over 2. Remember what we did here. Use the same method that we did to find the sine of theta over 2. Okay. So now let's see if you got the same answer. Let's find the sine theta over 2. Let's work on it. We're going to do this step by step. Remember, the first thing, the very important thing is for us to bring down our diagram so we can refer from that diagram. Right, this is the diagram in quadrant 2. From this diagram, we have theta. Right, let's write what we were given. This is my y, which was 8. This is my x, which was minus 15. This was my r, which was 17. Okay, let's find the sine of theta over 2. So look at this now. This is how we're going to look at the problem. This is how we're going to look at the problem. The sine of theta over 2. What is the sine of theta over 2? I'm going to say this is okay, let me play with your mind. Let me write this like this and say this is the cos of a double angle. I know someone will see sine and what comes in your mind? The double angle for sine. No, this will be the cos 2 alpha. I'm going to use a different angle to theta. Then equate this to, you remember this is the double angle for cos. We can choose any identity. We can choose any identity from these identities. We can choose any identity. So I'm going to look at what? The one that was given. I'm going to choose 2 the cos squared theta minus 1. That's what I'm going to choose. So let's go and work on this problem. So this will be the cos. We need to say this is the cos of y. I'm sorry. So look at this now. What we're going to do is that, look at this. I forgot that we are working with sine. We need to choose the identity that has sine and which will give us the second identity. We need to change this to be 1 minus 2 the sine squared of alpha, because you are looking for sine theta over 2. So that's the identity that you're going to choose in order for you to work on this problem. So what we're going to do now, we're going to say this will be, we're going to let that alpha to be theta over 2. So now that if this is alpha, where there's alpha, we need to put what? The cos of, I'm sorry, not the cos, oh yes, the cos of, we need the cos of theta. Let's do this. This will be the cos 2, inside the bracket we have theta over 2, close the bracket. This is equals to 1 minus 2 the sine squared of theta over 2. So what we did is that where there's x, where there's alpha, we substitute theta over 2. Now remember, the 2 will cancel. This 2 here, the 2 will cancel with that 2. We are left with cos theta. So I'm just going to write that and say, this is my cos theta. So this is equated to, now, if we work this thing down, we're going to have 1 minus 2, the sine squared theta over 2. So we know what is cos theta equals to. Remember cos theta from the beginning of the question, it was given as 15 over 17. Equate this to 1 minus 2 the sine squared of the theta over 2. What you need to do now is to do what? We need to isolate that sine theta over 2. Now we know what we can do. So the best thing that we can do, can you see this? Minus 2 sine squared theta over 2, it's negative. So I'm going to bring it this side to be positive 2 sine squared theta over 2, and bring the negative 15 this side to be positive 15 over 17. So now the answer that you get, you need to divide both sides by 2. No stories, just marks. So this is 17 over 2. I need to do what? If this is 17 over 2, so this is the same as saying sine squared of theta over 2 is equals to, the top part should give you 32 over 17, which is divided by 2. You can use a calculator to punch that, or alternatively you can just say 32 over 17 times 1 over 2, so that we can get the sine of theta over 2 to be equals to, when you put that on the calculator, we get 16 over 17. Right. So remember, we talked about, we said that the sine squared of theta over 2, we can write that as the sine theta over 2 and everything squared. So that is what this is equal to. So what I'm trying to say, we can square both sides. We can square both sides. And now what do we have as the answer? So when you square both sides, the square root cancels. You are left with the sine of theta over 2. What is that equals to? So this will be equals to plus or minus the root of 16 over 17. Now we need to decide, is this positive or negative? Remember, how do we do that? We bring the given, we're going to bring down the given. Let's go up. We were given a boundary. If you still remember, we have a boundary that was given. So the boundary here is that theta must be an element of 0 and 180. So I'm just going to bring my boundary down and say, I was given that theta to be an element of 0 degrees and 180. But look at this, we are looking for theta over 2. So this tells us that we need to divide everything by 2. We need to divide everything by 2. So theta now, theta over 2 must be an element of 0, and 180 divided by 2 will give us 90. And that's it. So you can see that where is this? This is in quadrant 1. If this is 90, this is 0. So this is in quadrant 1. Therefore, the final answer is that the sine of theta over 2 must be equals to positive the root of 16 over 17. And that's how you answer the question. And that was the last question for the lesson. Please make sure that you like, subscribe so that you don't miss the next lesson.